Our next is the cash flow. Ito na yung gustong-gusto natin. It's the spill. Ibig sabihin, this is the bottom line. This cash flow is the one being distributed to partners or to investors. And we have this terminology called cash on cash kasi it means that when you invest, if I put in 100,000, how much is my cash on cash? So it depends on how stabilized your asset is. Kasi when you're just starting out, the cash on cash might be a small amount. But always remember this, in multifamily portfolios, there are two kinds of benefits that investors can get. Number one, bottom line yon. Number one is the appreciation of the asset. Diba? Tumataas ang value ng asset. And second is the cash flow. And cash flow is king. Yun ang king. It's not cash. Ang sabi niya, cash is trash if you do not convert it to asset. We've been discussing about real estate investments on multifamily portfolios. So in this kind of investments, we're talking about scale. And when we talk about scale, we're talking about numbers. So multifamily portfolio, understanding numbers, we discuss about the most important numbers in multifamily, and that's the number of doors. Why? Because the more doors you have, the better the scale you can get. So meaning 100 is better than 10, 200 is better than 100, 500 is better than 200. The more doors, the better. Kasi once we discuss about yung susunod, like gross rent or the actual rent, kapag maliit yung numbers of units, less ang income, okay? Gross rent is not normally what's being used in the financials. It's always the actual rent. We only use gross rent for some gross rent is more of when you're trying to sell a property kasi that's where the potential of the property is. But when it comes to financials and when it comes to valuation of asset, ang pinag-uusapan is the actual rent. And that's where the importance of how many doors are being occupied. Yung kasunod na number which is important is the rate, the vacancy rate. If you only have a single family home, so meaning you only have one door and your tenant left, it means how many vacancy do you have? 100%, diba? Mm-mm. If you have two duplex, let's say duplex, so two doors, and two of your tenants left, 100% ulit ang vacancy mo. Two doors, one of your tenants left, 50% vacancy. But if we're talking about scale, let's say 50 doors, and one of your tenants left, how many percent is that? 2%? Tama ba ako? So, it doesn't really affect much yung value ng property when you compute it kapag maraming units. So, very significant is the number of doors. Very significant kasi pag pinag-usapan ng vacancy, it always depends on the location of the asset, the quality of the asset. The better the asset that you acquired, the less possible vacancy you're gonna have. So yung example namin dito is the one that we acquired here in Winnipeg, which is just in front of the Garden City Collegiate. So that building has 28 units, and because of its location, based on its history, it is always 98 to 100% occupied. Ang galing, ano? Because of where it's situated, prime location in front of the school and in a prime Garden City area. Garden City is always Garden City. The barriers to entry is not much, kaya isa sa magandang area where we really want to get mga apartments. So, doon ako nakafocus sa ngayon, and I wish we could get our next portfolio in the Garden City area. So, that's vacancy rate. Nakaka-apekto ang location. Sino ba naman ang gustong tumira sa pangit na lugar, di ba? As much as possible, we want to occupy a place where our family is safe. So, that's where the importance of location is, di ba? Yun Yun. That's where it is. NOI means net operating income. Gross rent or actual rent minus vacancy rate equals effective rent, and then minus all the expenses, okay, nung building na yon, operating expenses, doon natin nakikita ang NO. Doon lumalabas ang NOI. And if you don't have loans, NOI divided by the amount that you acquired your asset is your cap rate. So yun yung kasunod na important number. Cap rate. It means that you bought the asset cash. Kaya yung income mo, yun na mismo yun. Wala ka nang babayaran any other interest or whatever sa bank or what. Yun na mismo yung basis ng cap rate mo. So cap rate is your net income, net operating income divided by the purchase price. Again, cap rate depends on location, and cap rate has inverse relationship between price. So the higher the cap rate, the lower the price. Kung dito tayo sa ating area where we are very familiar with, yung properties in the downtown area, close to the downtown, the cap rate is so high. That's why the value of the property there is low. Pero when you go to Garden City, Amber Trail, Bridgewater sa South, St. Vital, Crestview sa may West area, East Kildonan, North Kildonan, ang cap rate dyan lower. So it means that the value of the asset in that neighborhood is high. May inverse relationship siya. Kaya pag sinasabi, oh, you're gonna buy the asset for 3% cap, it means that Class A yun. Class A yun, meaning a newer property or a fully renovated property in a very good location. Kaya mataas ang value niya. Lower ang cap rate. Pero pagka sinasabi nila na, oh, you're buying it for 10% cap, sabi nga ni Uncle, tumakbo ka na. Run as fast as you can if it is 10% cap rate. Kasi ibig sabihin nun, nakakatakot yung location. Kikita ka nga, but it means that the asset is not good. It's a rough neighborhood. Okay? So it doesn't mean that the higher your income is parang yung, oh, teka, di ba, Mel, pagka ang cap rate is about the net operating income? Yes. Kasi kaya mataas ang net operating income doon kasi mababa ang presyo ng mga properties doon, and therefore, hindi ganon kaganda yung lugar. Okay? So, again, yun yung inverse relationship ng cap rate at saka ng price. And then, last week, we tried to compute the value of the property. Diba? Kung nakita lang natin is if the amount given is just the net operating income and the cap rate, simple lang. We just have to divide the net operating income divided by cap rate, and then we can get the value of the property. Our next is the cash flow. Ito na yung gustong-gusto natin. It's the spill. Ibig sabihin, this is the bottom line. This cash flow is the one being distributed to partners or to investors. And we have this terminology called cash on cash kasi it means that when you invest, if I put in 100,000, how much is my cash on cash? So it depends on how stabilized your asset is. Kasi when you're just starting out, the cash on cash might be a small amount. But always remember this, in multifamily portfolios, there are two kinds of benefits that investors can get. Number one, well, bottom line yun. Number one is the appreciation of the asset. Diba? Tumataas ang value ng asset. And second is the cash flow. What is missing on what we used to know being the best real estate is our house. Ang bahay natin doesn't have a cash flow. Kahit pagbali-palentongin mo yung bahay natin, unless you are like, okay, merong exception to the rule, just like what my sister Ellen here is. Kasi yung house niya, yung basement, pinapaupahan niya. So that's different, okay? The house that she is now living in, meron siyang rental component. So merong business dun sa bahay niya. So it generates cash flow. There are also some of my friends who bought their house and has a business on the side. Nag-aalaga ng mga bata. Like malapit sila sa school and the kids are being dropped off to their place so in the morning and then pick up sa hapon. So they use their house as a business as well. So unless that's the use of your house, there's no other way that your house can cash flow because we lived in our house. The general use of our house is for our family to live in and not to have a business. Kaya lagi niyong maririnig, a house is a liability. Kasi you always put money in there. Ikaw ang nagbabayad ng mortgage, ikaw ang nagbabayad ng repairs, maintenance, Ikaw ang nagbabayad ng bills, ikaw ang nagbabayad ng tax, ng insurance, etc., etc. That's owning. That's the reward of being a homeowner. Pero, there's a good part there too. Merong appreciation ng bahay, diba? And that appreciation, we call it equity, and it's being built up over time when you pay your mortgage, plus it appreciates as because it's real estate. It's still a real estate. Hindi nga lang siya nagka-cash flow. The one that we are talking here on this session is a multifamily portfolio na sinasabi nga ni Mentor. If you buy a small asset, you'll be the one paying for it. If your loan is small, you pay for it. Kasi nga, just like a house, maliit lang ang loan mo doon, so therefore, ikaw nagbabayad. But if you acquire a big portfolio, so big loans, di ba? Malaki yung utang mo, but hindi ka nagbabayad, binabayaran ka pa. So that's the difference. Kaya meron tayong pinag-uusapan na cash flow. And cash flow is king. Yun ang king. It's not cash. Ang sabi niya, cash is trash if you do not convert it to asset. Okay? It doesn't have value na maganda kasi ang cash is always naapektuhan ng inflation. Whether you put it into especially pag nilagay mo lang sa bangko yung pera mo, the inflation will gonna hit it and the power of your cash will be bababa yun. Instead na, okay, it's still a dollar or 100,000 sabihin natin, 100,000 pa rin yan, pero yung mabibili niyan hindi na ganun kapareho ng 10 years ago or 20 years ago, di ba? That's inflation. If you only know how inflation will gonna affect us, ngayon pa lang, you're gonna put your money on this type of investment, the real estate investment. Kanina nasa net operating income tayo, di ba? NOI. So NOI, if you have loans, ibabawas yun doon sa net income natin kasi babayaran natin ang bangko. And then the spill, we call it the spill, that's the cash flow. Now the cash flow can be as low as, sa start, it can be as low as 2%, 3%, but it can grow up to, depending on the occupancy of the property, it can go more, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. As you move on, doon sa pag-hold, so it's the holding time. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, your mortgage is getting lower, so nagkakaroon ka ng additional flow of cash into your pocket because of that. Actually, I missed something here kasi that is the number na somehow hidden. Kasi it is where the multiplier effect is. And that's where millions are being created. So very interesting pag pinag-usapan yon. If you're a numbered person, just like me, Brian, Sister Berna, mga numbered person kami. Parang pag pinag-usapan yung numbers, parang ang saya-saya ng utak namin. Kahit natutulog yata, nakakapag-compute kami. But anyways, that's just us. Pero pag kasi Orly naman ang sinabihan mo ng numbers, gusto niya matulog. Kasi parang nakalimutan daw niya yan nung siya ay nag-aaral. But just sa akin, numbers is just music in my ears. So anyways, maganda yung tandem namin kasi ako yung number, siya naman yung pagdating sa vision. Doon ko naman siya hinahangaan talaga. Na after ganito, ito yung mangyayari sa atin. He's the visionary, which I'm so proud to have. He can see what I can't see. So that's that. Cash flow, cash on cash. I invested 100,000. Most likely on the first 1-2 years, your cash on cash would not be that much. Like 3%, 4%, 5%. So divided by 12, you have 3,000 divided by 12, how much is it? You're getting $250 per month on your cash flow. Ang liit naman, 100,000 yung nilagay ko. $250 lang yung cash flow. Hey, just FYI, your 100,000, it will not even make $250 a year. Tama ba ako? Tama ba ako in a bank? Kasi parang lang siya 0.25% or 0.2. So it will not make that much. Your 100,000 is making $200 a year, diba? So and taxable pa yon. You will not really benefit yung tax shelter na tinatawag. But our next topic by next week, meron tayong, invite ko yung isa sa mga friend ko who's into a partnership too, and meron sila yung isa sa mga accountant na may-ari nung Liberty Tax ngayon. So we'll see how she can give us an information about doon sa tax shelter ng real estate. Kasi this is one of the reason why maraming mga millionaires and billionaires whose money is into real estate. They hindi nila nakahawakan yung mga funds na yan. They don't wanna see their bank account filled with money. No. Gusto nila nasa real estate yung kanilang investment because they can get a lot of tax shelter sa real estate. And this is one of the big, I would say, isang mahabang topic pag pinag-usapan ng tax. And we'll only focus on the tax benefits of investors whose money is into real estate. In Canada, few of the tax benefits ng multifamily investors in Canada is, number one, we can all claim the depreciation of the asset, lahat ng expenses, deductible expenses. How you're gonna treat the capital gains if you wanna sell the property, and what if you were gonna refinance the property? There's that another exit too, diba? So, refinancing of assets, it's a non-taxable event. Nakuha mo na yung in-invest, tapos ikaw pa rin may-ari ng asset. Parang, it's a magic. It's a magic in real estate. And, if I can remember, we discussed last week yung difference between, I think we discussed it on the club, the difference of the interest rate versus the cap rate. So, if your cap rate is 5%, and then your interest rate is 4.5, then you have an advantage of 0.5 on the OPM, other people's money, diba? So, if you want to know more about that, usap tayo ulit. Let's dig deeper. And then, yung lahat ng financial costs. Diba sa bahay kapag bumili tayo, meron tayong closing costs. Similarly, it's the same thing with a multifamily portfolio. The difference is tax deductibles itong mga to. Sa bahay, hindi mo may deductin sa tax, unfortunately. Sorry. I'm a realtor and I know how it feels. But that's how our house is. Diba? Kasi tayo naman ang gagamit nun. So, loss, if we encountered some losses, no problem kasi lahat yan deductible. And sa residential properties, yung acquisition niya is GST exempt. Okay, lalo na kapag ang pinag-usapan is limited partnership. And that's how our structure is dito sa ginagawa naming acquisition. We structured it as a limited partnership. The millionaire math. Ang ganda ng topic na. So this is why we need scale. Okay, this is why we need scale. I think we discussed it was it the one that we discussed last week or the week before? That we have an increased rent of $200. If you only have one unit, you only have $200. And that's times 12. You have only $2,400 a year additional rent, and there's no such scale. Walang cap rate doon, walang ganon ang single family home. Duplex, unfortunately, wala din. Triplex, fourplex, no. Maririnig mo lang ang cap rate pagka pinag-uusapan na yung malalaking portfolio. That's why the standard being the standard na nire-require talaga. But pumasa yung 28 units because it's local, but because our target is to hit a million mark, 32 units is the base. 28 very close to 32. Good excuse. But as long as the numbers would make sense, yun yung pinaglaban ko doon sa 28 units na in-acquire namin. But anyways, let's do this math in your calculator. Let's see if we're gonna get the same number. So this is increase in value of asset. We own the asset for, let's say, 5 years. We were able to increase $200 of rent per month in a period of 5 years, which is nangyayari yan dito sa Winnipeg. So we have 32 doors times 200, 6,400 times 12. In a year, you have an increased rent of 76,800. Okay? We're talking here on the 5th year of ownership, huh? Now, 90% occupancy times 0.9. And then, how much did you get? 69,120.
120. Yeah.
Right. Divide natin on a cap rate given, which is 0.06. How much is it? Tama ba ta?
1,152,000.
Yeah. So if you wanna hit a million mark, if you have 32 units, i-increase mo yung rent ng $200 per month. Punta ka sa bangko, you can get this on top of your mortgage. Kasi that's an additional value of your asset. Do you think the bank will gonna loan you that money? Of course. Of course. Kasi that's how the numbers is being underwrite as well by the bank. Kaya, if you wanna scale, the more units, the better. I have another example here. So, another example is, paano kung biniliktad naman? Okay, sis, di namin alam how much ang idadagdag namin sa isang unit, how much can we put or can we add as a rent para makakuha kami ng 1 million added value on that asset. So, baliktarin natin. 1 million, if our target is 1 million, kasi 1152 no kapag $200. So 1 million ang target natin. Kuhanin natin yung 6%. Yun yung income niya eh, di ba? So makukuha natin. Pag tinimes mo yan sa cap rate, anong makukuha natin? Net operating income. Correct? So divided by 12 months, divided by 32, and ang occupancy is 90%, 0.9. So that's why it arrived 100. Tama ba tayong lahat?
173.61.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. So that's the rent increase. If we wanna increase, meron tayong 32 units, gusto nating ma-hit ang 1 million, gusto nating kumuha sa bangko ng 1 million, kailangan meron tayong $173 per unit increase. Okay? Yun ang gagawin natin. So that's how it is. So ito yung cheat sheet ng million-dollar math na tinatawag. And dito nyo ma-appreciate why the number of doors is very, 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 very important. You want to hit $1 million added value? If you have 4 units, increase the rent by 1,250. Parang ang hirap niyan dito sa atin. Ano? Makakapagtaas ba agad tayo ng 1,250?
Yeah.
Increase of rent natin is 1,200. Parang maybe in the next, maybe 20 years. Tama ba? Sa tingin nyo, ano ang rent? Can we check? Na-curious tuloy ako. Ano ang rent increase in Canada from what 1990 to 2025? Pwede bang mangyari yon? Sa Reddit, sabi niya, in the 1992, sa Toronto, try natin yung Toronto, kilala naman natin ang Toronto. $600, 1992. In year 2020, 1,400. Higit sa doble, no? And that's 30 years. So, pwede pa rin. Pwede pa rin talaga. Anyway, if we're talking of 4 units, ang tagal bago tumaas ng 1 million yung value ng property. Anyways, let's go to the 8 units. Sa 8 units, 625 ang rent increase mo, 1 million. Pag 16 units, 313 ang rent increase mo, you're gonna get the million mark. 32, yun yung kinompute natin. Ito, considered as 100% occupancy. Walang vacancy to. 157, 64, $79. Imagine mo pag 122 yung units mo. $40 lang yung i-increase ng unit, ng rent increase mo. 1 million agad. That's why in multifamily portfolio, the more doors we get, the simpler ang scale. Diba? The simpler we can go get the $1 million mark. In Winnipeg, do you think by next year, possible 2025 ngayon, by next year papayag ang mga tenant that the tenant can absorb that $41 increase in rent? For sure, yes, di ba? May magrereklamo ba sa $41? What do you think?
Monthly? Wala naman.
Wala. Yeah. That's why the more number of units na ma-acquired or yung mga facility na nasa 150 dito sa atin sa Winnipeg only. Meron pero few. Dito sa mga bagong ginagawa along McPhillips, I think there is one that is 140 units yung nasa likod ng what's this, katabi ng Lady Joyce. That's 144 units. Dalawang buildings. So, only few facilities in Winnipeg have yung ganitong karaming units. Majority of the time, kasi we're a small city, majority of the time, under 100 units ang available dito. Marami yung 8 units, 16 units, 24 units. There is one that is for sale right now sa may St. Vital area. Dalawang building siya na tigto 12 units. But it's a little expensive. I can't yung underwriting ng number, it doesn't pass the underwriting. Although ang location is good. So we'll see. That is why kapag nandito kayo sa ganitong klaseng investment, you really have to do the math. Do your math. And as I always said, the math numbers doesn't lie. Kung ano yung makuha mong numbers yun, that's the reality. hindi siya subjective. Lagi siyang definite. So these numbers are an indications. If you wanna look for an investment portfolio, the more the merrier. Diba? That's how it is. Think what is the next? Okay. Increase number. Okay. I think meron ditong exercises. Can we try this? Increase value formula. Deal number 1. Let's see. And we're gonna jive on the same number. We have 13 units. Let's use our calculator. We have 13 units times what's being asked here is the increased value of the asset. Okay. 13 units, $60 a month times 12 times the occupancy.
26.
How much is the cap rate? 6%. How much did you get?
149,760.
Yung iba, anong nakuha ng the rest of us? The same, pareho ba tayo?
149,760.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right. Good. Let's do the next one. Papasa na tayo. Pwede na? Okay, let's do this one. 40 units. How much is the increased value? 60 per month times the occupancy times 12 divided by, how much is the cap rate this time?
5.
0.05. Ano sa tingin nyo? Ano yung better investment? Number 2 or number 1? Location. Better location, better type of asset. Which one? 1 or 2?
2.
Based on cap rate, diba?
Yeah.
5%. Okay, good. What's the increase in value?
549.
90% occupancy. What did you get? Si Romel, what did you get, Romel?
At 518,400.
Okay.
518.
518,400.
Alright. Okay, papasa tayo. Okay, good. Next. Number 3. Let's continue. Deal number 3. We have 200 units. Itong gusto kong computin. 200 units. $25 ang increase. Times the occupancy of 25. Okay. Tama ba? Divided by cap rate. Times 12. Divided by, diba?
950,000. Okay.
How much is the increase?
950.
950. Why? Because of the number of units. Diba, no? That's how the scale is. Pinapakita lang dito sa atin that the more units we have, the better our portfolio, the better our cash flow would be. So, kahit maliit lang yung increase niya in a month. Okay. Takeaways though. What did you learn? So, if given the chance, what will you choose? Okay, meron tayong dito. Example. We have, tingnan natin kung alin ang ating i-choose. So, of course, dun sa tatlong example, dun tayo sa number 3, di ba? So, let's say there is 100 units at 5% cap rate. And then, that's deal 1. And then deal 2 is 200 units at 8% cap rate. And then deal 3, so 1, 2, 3. And then deal 3 is 50 units at 4% cap rate. Kung yun lang yung given, which one will you choose? 1, 2, or 3? 100 units, 5% cap rate. 200 units, 8% cap rate. 50 units, 4% cap rate. Ano ang pipiliin nyo?
I think I'll choose the 100, 5% cap rate.
Okay. Sige nga, mag-votation nga tayo, Sister Ellen. What about si Jason, ikaw, anong pipiliin mo? Brian, ikaw, anong pipiliin mo? Saan si Jason?
Sorry, ito na. I'm driving. Kaya hindi ko na-complete. Nakikinig lang ako sa inyo.
Okay, go ahead. Alright, that's okay. What about si Romel? Romel, ikaw, what will you choose? Christy, what will you choose? 100 units, 5% cap. 200 units, 8% cap. 50 units, 4% cap.
The second one, 200 units.
Okay, so si Romel and Christy. Okay. Okay. Okay, sige. May another question after this. I really wanna see where you are at. Sister, how about you?
I say 100 units at
Pareho kayo.
5% cap rate.
Okay, pareho kayo ni
Sister Ellen.
Okay.
Hula lang, hula.
Hula lang to,
Sorry, to 100. Oh, which one?
Okay.
Oh, wrong.
What is that? Are you changing your mind, Romel, Christy?
Yeah, well, I chose the 50 at first. It's a lot lower compared
Okay. And then you choose biglang, oops, I need to go 200. And then now, so where are you at now, Romel?
Well, I'm at the 50.
The third one?
Yeah.
The third one. Okay, so I'll switch you over to, Romel and Christy. And then bas Jay, ikaw, saan ka? Jason, are you there? Okay.
Sorry, miss ko yung details. I was in another call. Another work call.
It's okay. Jason, number 1 deal is 100 units at 5% cap. Number
Okay.
2 is 200 units at 8% cap. And then number 3 deal is 50 units at 4% cap. Which one will you choose?
100 units and how many cap?
5.
I'll go with that one, 100.
Okay, Jason. Ako, talo kayo. Romel, talo kayo. Tatlo sila dito. Ba't ayaw nyo dun kay number 2?
No, I see it now. I see the 200. If you double up, it's like 2,500. So the second and third is the same thing, and then the I guess the 100 is probably the best one.
Okay, so you're changing your mind again.
Yeah, to the 100. Yes. Sorry, no, I see it now.
Okay. Sige, magkakakampi kayo dyan. Okay. So you're all on deal 1. Okay. There you go. 100 units, 5% cap rate. Next question is, what is your understanding about yung 8% cap rate? Kasi sabi ko kanina, when it's 8%, let's rate 8 to 10. Sabi ni Uncle G, let's run. Let's run. As fast as you can when it's 8% cap. Kasi it is about not only about the asset, most like it's about the neighborhood, yung location, rough area. So yun yung may ganitong klaseng cap rate. In Winnipeg, you can find this dyan sa area na north and 8 to 10 cap. Downtown area yung mga so nasa 8 to 12 cap. The higher the cap rate, the lower the price of the property. Many investors, sometimes you're gonna find that some of the investors, depending on what their style, they're gonna choose a higher cap rate. High risk, yun yung gusto nila. Kasi they have some kind of patterns na they can play with that risk. So not at all times pipiliin nila yung lower cap rate. But so this is the lesson here. As an investor, meron tayong kanya-kanyang category. We can parang kagaya din sa financial, if you're in the finance world, there is yung sinasabing moderate risk, tsaka yung high risk, may low risk, diba? So ito yung mga ganitong klaseng asset where investors are, minsan saglit lang sila doon and then they're gonna exit. So meron silang kanya-kanyang reason why they do it. In multifamily, okay, this will probably be our next parang series na ang pag-uusapan natin is exit. One of the principle ng 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is to begin with the end in mind. Always remember that. When you start something, you have to know where you're gonna exit. Because it's not only knowing how to start, but knowing how to exit as well. Yun yung I would say, yun yung kumpleto ng cycle. You start and you exit. And there's several kinds of exit when it comes to multifamily investing. After nating we understand these numbers, yun yung next series natin. It's a short series because there are 4 ways of exits naman pagdating sa multifamily portfolio. And this cap rate, yung pinag-uusapan natin na to, this play a very significant role pagdating doon. Based dun sa decision nyo, I would not, kasi we're over time. Based dun sa decision nyo, you're on the moderate side of it, which is what we really wanna, tingnan. Dapat nandun tayo hindi tayo masyadong aggressive na kapatulan natin yung mga investments na may mataas na cap rate, but they're in a very rough area and it's gonna be hard to exit. We'll work on the portfolio that many people will gonna love. Kahit mag-exit ka when it comes, we'll discuss it next. Exciting exit. Na, yun yung portfolio na people wants to buy, tenants wants to live, and it's a location where there is what they call a community. Very, very significant yan sa multifamily investing. And the types of assets class na nandito sa ganitong lower cap rate is yun yung Class A, Class B. Class A, newer facility. Class B, a little bit older but it's still fully remodeled. Class C is an older facility but it has it's in a good location. Yun yung category nitong ganitong klaseng portfolio on the 4%, 5% cap rate. But again, always remember, itong binigay ko sa inyong dalawang numbers is not enough to decide, okay? 100 units, 5% cap rate, hindi yun kompleto. Kailangan nating malaman ng vacancy or occupancy rate, and usapan natin is the increase, right? So, vacancy rate, normally, kapag nasa magandang neighborhood, ang vacancy mo is still. And again, yung value or yung price kasi, di ba? Sabihin natin 100 units, 5% ang cap rate, pero masyado namang mataas yung presyo ng property. If the numbers are not right pagdating sa underwriting, it will not pass doon sa ating criteria. So, but anyways, bottom line, if I am to choose as well, pare-pareho tayong nasa category A. Given the fact that it's 100 units and it's a 5% cap rate, parang the rest will gonna follow, diba? The rest will gonna follow. Kasi for sure, nasa magandang location yan, people will gonna love to live there, diba? Yun yung point natin. Si 50 units, maganda man ito, probably this is a new facility at 4% cap rate, but it's still a small scale, diba? Compared to, kagaya ng intro natin kanina, numbers, the most important numbers in multifamily portfolio, number of doors. 10 units is better than 2, 20 units is better than 10, 100 units is better than 20, 200 units is better than 100. So, that's, pare-pareho tayong nasa number 1 deal. If you have any other questions, I think we can adjourn.